Today's how-to lesson will be how to complete a short story analysis for English class. And as you can see from the assignment sheet, you're going to form a thesis on one of your favorite stories. It could be any one of the stories by your author, and you're going to write in 2 to 3 pages. You're going to give a brief summary of the story. You want to explain the details, so you want to deal with plot, characters, setting, and conflict, which are going to help shed light on your thesis and prove the explanation of the underlying message. Make sure you have a works cited page, which I'll go into in a few moments, and submit your paper for it to get full credit and not be late. You want to make sure you submit it to turnitin.com, and I need a paper copy in class. And it's going to count for a test grade for this trimester, and every day it's late, you're going to lose 5 points. So this would be the assignment. Let me show you some simple formatting things that we want to follow when we're writing the paper. Okay, and I gave a short story analysis worksheet here, and this would be a good outline, even if you just want to write this stuff down on a piece of paper. What elements do you need? Well, you want to have your author, and the quotations are for the for the title of the short story. That's my fault. Okay, so make sure you put the title of your short story in quotation marks, and your introductory paragraph is going to give a little introduction into the story, maybe some underlying themes that we might look for, but you want to have an introductory paragraph that includes your thesis and includes the title of your short story, includes your author's name, of about 4 to 6 sentences. The thesis itself is only going to be a sentence, and if you look here on my website, I talk all about the thesis statement where it's only 1 sentence, but the thesis plus some introduction, that's what we're talking about, 4 to 6 sentences. That would be 1 paragraph. And then you go into, after you get into your introduction with your thesis, you want to talk a little bit about the summary of the story, some of the action that occurs in the plot, who the characters are, what the setting is, what the conflict is. And you don't want the whole story, the whole paper to be a summary of the story, but you definitely want to have this important information in your paper, and go into as much detail as possible, but then again, don't make the whole paper based all on this. The main part of the paper is going to be that focus, the analysis. What's the theme of the story mentioned in the thesis? And what you want to do here is bring up some points of the story where the theme is coming out. So give an introduction to that. Talk about some places where the theme's coming out. You want to use quotes from your story to support that theme that you're trying to show. And then once you use the quote and you cite it correctly according to the KMHS style sheet, you want to make sure that you explain that quote in a little more detail. And 2 to 3 quotes to help support your thesis would be good enough. Could you have more? Absolutely. Okay, that's no problem. And when I talk about literary elements, is an author using a metaphor? Is an author using a simile, personification, any kind of literary elements that help support that theme and demonstrate that theme are good to know. And then the last thing you want to have, just like we had before, we want to have an introduction of 4 to 6 sentences. We want to have that conclusion to help summarize the main ideas of the paper, restate that thesis. Don't just copy and paste the introduction as your conclusion, and conclude the entire paper. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, what we finally want to look at the works cited page here. And the works cited page is going to be the last page we have here. And the works cited page, it's all double spaced. Make sure you put your last name and page number in the top right hand corner, and title it works cited. Put your author's name last comma first. Put the title of the short story, which gets quotation marks. Put the title of the book in italics. If you have an introduction or any editors, put them in there. If not, skip over it. There's the one typo that I made the correction for, and that's by. It should be a lowercase b. And then you're going to put where it's published, colon, who published it, comma, the latest edition, the year. If it's a print source, put print, and then put the page numbers after it. If you got it online, it's a web source, put web, and then just put the URL, and all I need is gettingme2.com. And if you go on to a second or a third line, just make sure you indent the second line and significant lines after that. I hope this lesson helps you in plotting out and writing your literary analysis. If you have any particular questions, you can always get in touch with me through email. Good luck.